Superstar Summer McIntosh has won Canada's very first medal in Paris today. She took silver in the women's 400-meter freestyle final. Canada's women's soccer team continues following its drone spying scandal. FIFA has stripped the team 6 points in the Olympic tournament, and 3 staff members have been banned for 1 year. Questions from the community continue to grow after a 32-year-old man was shot by a police officer in Cabbagetown last week. The family identified him as Tyler Kaur and said he struggled with his mental health. Anam Khan has more.
Prayers, drums, and questions at the Toronto Police Headquarters last week after a 32-year-old man was shot in Cabbagetown on Tuesday. Police confirming a man was seriously injured after an officer fired their gun. This woman in tears says the man was her son. The family identifying him as Tyler Kaur, an Afro-Indigenous man from White Bear First Nations, now in the hospital in critical condition.
My son had mental issues. You know, there's other ways of dealing with people with mental health. You know, he had problems before.
My people have suffered enough!
The rally was held Friday by the Toronto Indigenous Harm Reduction Group. It was led by the family of Regis Kreczynski-Paquette, who have been advocating for police reform in the city. Paquette died 4 years ago after falling from her apartment balcony with officers present in her home.
We should not have to be out here for Tyler. The police had no business doing what they did to him.
Police say Tuesday's incident took place around Carleton and Parliament. Now, the Special Investigations Unit is looking into it, confirming Wednesday that an officer shot a 32-year-old man who was armed with a knife. CBC did not hear back for a request for comment on Saturday. Kaur's family is fighting for justice, already raising nearly $18,000 to cover legal fees.
Our whole entire family has been really impacted, but it makes the impact worse when you're coming from generational poverty and things of that nature that, you know, really expedite the pain that you're going through.
Jamo Maxey still trying to cope, his arm in a cast. He says he punched a wall in frustration when he heard about his brother.
I got the news, I couldn't emotionally regulate.
Maxey describing his brother as a resilient man, saying the two of them grew up in foster care, living through a lot of adversity in their childhood that made their bond unbreakable. While he hopes to hug his brother soon, he's raising awareness for the need for more mental health support in the city. Anam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
A Mississauga family and the community are still reeling after a 3-year-old boy went missing and was found dead by police this week. Brittany Billette has the latest.
Families at the park on Saturday say they can't imagine what Zaid Abdullah's parents are going through.
It's terrifying to hear that that can happen to anyone at any time. And my thoughts go out to the family.
It's scary. Like, it's actually scary, and I hope God can protect all of us.
Zaid disappeared from this playground Thursday around 6:30 p.m. On Friday evening, police announced that they found his body in the Credit River, just beside the park.
At approximately 5:40 p.m., our search efforts and our rescuers located Zaid Abdullah in the creek, deceased, within the water. His family has since been notified, and we're working to provide them as much support as necessary during this horrific time.
It started as a fun day at the park. The family had just moved to Canada 2 months ago from Jordan, and his mother is pregnant. She says Zaid, who police indicated was nonverbal, was last seen playing here with a group of kids. She spoke to CBC News on Friday.
Zaid, he's playing in the ground, our kids, and he's lost.
Police searched for the boy by air and on ground, and when night fell, police brought in marine and dive teams with additional help from firefighters. Community members also helped with the search.
The circumstances around it are obviously extremely unfortunate, but it was great to see that the community was able to come together and try to do their best.
It didn't end as everybody had hoped and prayed. This mother says it's situations like this that inspired her to get an Apple AirTag for her 2-year-old.
To her, it's her watch. To me, I have my phone and I can track her at any point in time. I know if I can't see her for a moment and I get that instant freak out, then I can just check my phone and make sure that where she is.
Investigators looking into what happened to Zaid say they don't suspect any foul play and are treating the case as a tragedy. So far, police haven't released a cause of death, but they're encouraging anybody with information or footage to come forward. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Toronto.
A team of researchers from Western University are in the Perth area this weekend to document the damage caused by a tornado that touched down earlier this week. The director of the project says the tornado happened Wednesday evening and was confirmed based on video and radar evidence. The project's goal is to better understand and detect tornadoes in Canada and to improve predictions to help mitigate harm. Wildfire evacuees from Jasper, Alberta are coming to terms with the scale of the damage. Many homes and businesses have been destroyed.
Even with doing some emergency tactical ignition to stall out some of the fire spread, the winds, when they came through town, some of our estimations are in excess of 100 kilometers an hour. The fact that we were able to withstand it is a testament to the fact that we prepared and had all this incredible support.
The fire has destroyed or damaged about a third of the town. More than 350 structures are gone, and it could still be several weeks before people can return. The Alberta government says more boots are on the ground in Jasper this weekend to help battle the flames.
We have also coordinated the deployment of more than 250 wild and urban interface personnel directly to Jasper. These firefighters and incident management personnel come from across the province and have specialized training to support the complex firefighting efforts in Jasper. Firefighters from Hinton, Edmonton, and 30 other municipalities are now on the ground in Jasper, working hard to protect homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure.
Sophia Kambalia joins us now from the Weather Network, and you've been tracking these fires. What's the latest?
Well, luckily, a pattern of cooler temperatures and a bit of rain have helped firefighters secure a bit of a perimeter in the area to help future fire prevention. And the somewhat good news continues in this situation. That ridge of high pressure will continue to move further to the east. What this will allow is beneficial Pacific moisture to finally enter Western Canada. First, Monday into British Columbia, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, some spotty showers and even more widespread rain into parts of Alberta. Until then, we are continuing to track plumes of smoke from the hundreds of fires burning across our country, plumes of smoke traveling really all across the continent, including here at home. Now, we're mostly protected by this ridge of high pressure, but this setup is the perfect recipe for an active storm track. That's what we're seeing at the moment through parts of northwestern Ontario, fueled, of course, by intense heat as well. Heat warnings in place in parts of the northern end of the province. We're seeing a line of storms right now from Kenora to Dryden that should line out with some really intense winds in the next couple hours. We'll keep our eye on that. Meanwhile, into the south, not a cloud in sight, clear skies, calm conditions, light winds, and low humidity. I'll tell you about how in the long range this is verifiable by data that we are sitting upon the best weekend in the entire summer so far. Every other one has been marred by blemishes. I'll tell you what you have to look forward to this weekend, including a bit of haze in the sky from those wildfires we just talked about. Talia.
Thanks, Sophia. Now, of course, you can catch all of the Olympic action here on CBC, but if you want to get out of the house to enjoy some of the Olympic Games, there are plenty of places here in Toronto to do that. Lane Harrison takes us to some of them.
The women's sports bar Peaches in Parkdale has been a popular spot all year long, with the growing popularity of the PWHL and WNBA. But this summer brings the young establishment into uncharted territory.
Well, it's a really exciting thing for us because this is our first Olympics since we've opened. We're approaching our 2-year anniversary, October 5th. And so this is a new experience for us. So we're interested to see what the level of interest is, but we are really excited to see, with the resurgence of females in sports, they, them, femmes, queers in sports, and the level of interest that has been just totally exploding.
We're underway.
As always, the bar will be focusing on women's sports,
World record!
an area where Canada has lots to cheer about, with swimmer Summer McIntosh looking to build on a world record-setting performance at the Olympic trials. and the women's basketball team just making the cut as Toronto prepares to welcome a WNBA team.
It's hard not to be excited about women's basketball, of course, but I really love the spectrum of sport that the Olympics brings. It's televised sporting events that you don't typically get to see or have access to. We're going to be opening at 11 a.m. every day in order to be able to bring as many of the games as we possibly can. And we'll see what happens moving forward for gold medal games. We're always willing to adjust our hours to accommodate.
Of course, Peaches is far from the only place showing the games. The 10-meter screen at Real Sports will be carrying the action.
I will say that if you want to come and watch the 100 meters, or if you want to watch basketball, if you want to watch some of the bigger marquee events, make a reservation.
The summer has been good to sports bars, with the Euros Football Championship and Canada's surprising run in Copa America.
We didn't expect them to get as far as they did at all, and filled up every night that they played.
At the Aviary, they're hoping fans will be reuniting behind their country, and they'll be ready to serve them when they do. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.
The last time Canada's men's basketball team made it to the games was more than 2 decades ago. Some say this roster is the best that Canada's ever produced. Dwight Drummond caught up with SGA and his cousin Nikhil Alexander Walker when they were here training in Toronto.
Sometimes we zoom out, think back about the old times we used to dream about where we are today. It just goes to show you that if you believe something and you work hard at it, that's the only way you can achieve it.
Setting a course for the Olympics and seeing the program's shining superstar, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander takes center stage.
The Olympics family affair for you. Mom Charmaine went as a sprinter back in '92. Has she offered you any insight from her Olympic experience?
No, she hasn't. She just told me to soak up the experience, enjoy it. It'll be something you never forget, so make the most of it.
You and your cousin Nikhil get to be on this team together, which is pretty special, man. Do you ever think that when you guys were battling in the driveway that you'd make it to the NBA together as an Olympians?
We did.
Really?
We spoke about it so many times. We always talked about achieving our goals and our dreams together. To be able to do so is amazing.
And it was nice to have two people at that talent level to be able to push each other all those years. What does it mean then now to achieve this Olympic dream of yours?
It means a lot. It means everything. Just from growing up to watching the Olympics, watching all the dream teams.
Yes.
Usain Bolt and
yes.
The Olympics was like an event growing up, and to be able to be a part of it is almost surreal.
Alexander Walker with a spin and fires on the doorstep. And into that one, he gets his first 2.
And I heard about the driveway battles between you and SGA. Talk about that, because think about it. If you have another NBA player to practice with your whole life, and the two of you are that good, what were those driveway battles like?
I think it just taught us how to be competitors and to find that edge. We worked out together, we trained together, we were the same age, same height. Nothing was different about us. He felt to me like a twin brother. And so I think the one thing that we had to learn to separate ourselves, how am I going to beat him? Felt like shadow boxing in a sense. His dad always told us you got to want to be better than him, and he has to want to be better than you. That edge on trying to get the upper hand. And so now in competition, if I'm willing to do this to family, then I'm willing to do it to anybody.
Yeah, we came from obviously nothing to something. We're obviously here now, and we're grateful for everything we have. But being from Canada and going through the OBA system and doing all the hard work and the perseverance to get here, super proud, because now, like I said, everything's obviously paying off.
Talk about this journey from where you guys started to where you are now. It's not an easy road, but there's certain things that you have to follow, certain things that, when it comes to discipline, when it comes to time management, when it comes to focus. How did you keep these young men in that focus all the way?
That's a great question, because it wasn't easy. Like you said, they can lead the horse to the water, but you can't really force them to drink. And that's why I give them a lot of credit. A lot of people ask me, what did I do, and give me the credit. No, how would you give it to them? Because I try to teach a lot of other kids the same thing, and I'm sure a lot of good parents try to do the same thing and teach their kids the same thing, but they didn't drink the water.
The GT20 cricket tournament kicked off its 4th season this week in Brampton. Participants say they are excited to see the sport's continued growth in Canada.
Cricket is not just about playing cricket, it's about integrating with the local communities. So I think you've got a fantastic mix out here, and so much is happening with this cricket, which is not just about the game, and I think that's what gives me the most pleasure.
Where it is right now, I think it's actually
I'm pretty sure it's only going to grow further from here. So I think it's a great platform for all the young kids to, take up cricket as a sport.
Cricket stars from around the world are taking part in this year's tournament. Teams from the GTA are competing along with teams from Vancouver and Surrey, BC, and one team from Montreal. The Dream Wheels on Eglinton fundraiser was back today, bringing the street to life by showcasing over 100 vintage cars and motorcycles.
I think, like me, everyone's feeling like a kid here. Not just the kids. And it's also an opportunity to just run into friends, see community, and just look how vibrant Eglinton has become again.
The funds raised from the event will go towards the Sick Kids Foundation. Some of the notable vintage cars on display included this 1955 T-Bird Deuce and this 927 Ford Model T Roadster. The event also featured live music, street vendors, and entertainment for kids. Sophia's back now with our extended forecast, and I'm hoping this weekend weather extends into our week as well.
There are a few blips on the radar into next week, but let's focus on what is going to be an absolutely glorious end to the weekend. We've got storms into the northwest portion of the province, as we talked about earlier. Satellite and radar can't pick up on anything into the south, though. This high pressure is in place until midweek. We'll talk about midweek in a moment, but for now, let's focus on the rest of Saturday and Sunday. The clouds will clear into Sunday as well. Brilliant clear skies, light winds from the south. A little bit of humidity moves in for Sunday, but beautiful, especially if you're going to be lakeside, dockside, or patio side. For Sunday, we're talking about humidity into the mid-30s, so a little bit warm if you're inland, but really nice if you're by the lakeshore. Sunday morning into the low 20s. We are bang on seasonal when it comes to the temperatures for Sunday afternoon, and a brilliant and sunny Sunday evening forecast. We actually look back at every weekend we've had so far in July, and there's either been clouds or rain. This is the first weekend so far in July of real summer that we've had a perfect forecast. So far, the best weekend weather of the summer, and maybe even of the summer for the next few weeks. The only thing to talk about really is those plumes of smoke we talked about earlier in the show from all the fires in Western Canada. Now, not much of this will mix down to low-level smoke. We are protected by that high pressure, but you will see high-level haze in the skies. And what's this going to mean is a little bit more of a bigger, bright red sunset and sunrise. You won't smell it in the air yet. Look midweek, though, more humidity cranks up, more of a southerly flow, more of a storm chance. Not a washout of a week, but until then, fairly clear for the first half of this upcoming work week until, again, we have some sticky and stormy weather potentially midweek, and then a ridge does look to redevelop into next weekend. Hopefully, we can have 2 for 2 for nice weekends, Talia.
Thanks, Sophia. It's been a summer full of festivals so far here in Toronto, and this weekend a showcase of Filipino culture is underway at the Harbourfront Centre. This year's festival features traditional Filipino folk dances, music, vendors, and of course a lot of good eats. If you haven't had a chance to swing by, you still have time. The event runs until Sunday evening. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching.